Hey gang, Larry Bailey here. I wanted to make sure that you knew that this weekend in your testing environments, assuming you have one, you're going to be delivered, hopefully, cross our fingers, 24.2 from Ice Mortgage Technology for Encompass. And it's not only just Encompass Desktop, but it's Encompass Web, Encompass TPO, Encompass ABCDEFG, the whole thing. There's a lot of updates happening this weekend. And so I wanted to share with you the Encompass Administrative Checklist for the 24.2. This is just the desktop version, but there's a checklist here that you should go through. And I wanted to kind of review that with you here together, just to kind of go through the main parts and help you understand what is probably important for you to be aware of as you go through this checklist for production. Now, production is still slated for the weekend of August 17th. So time is a ticking, so to speak. And what I want you to understand is what's happening. So in the overall release notes in desktop, again, this is all about desktop. There's a big section with regards to EPPS going to ICE PPE, and specifically in the secondary registration area and those settings that you probably don't go in often. And so I want to make sure that you're aware of what to do. There's information right here. Again, setup, secondary setup, product and pricing. It shows you what to do. But you have to, if you're using EPPS, you have to make sure this is on your list. You have to. It's an absolute. If you're not using affordable housing, you can kind of skip by this. But if you are using affordable housing, this is going to talk about the new functionality, especially when it comes to MFI, right? So we talked about this in the release notes walkthrough, which seems like a long time ago because we were supposed to have 24.2 in our hands by now, but then the internet broke. Right. So in any event, make sure you read through this section, especially if you're using, again, affordable housing products and you're leveraging MFI. You're going to want to know about this because there's different steps that you have to walk through, again, not only with desktop, but also admin tools. So here's more AMI stuff and more AMI stuff. So affordable lending. And there's that MFI update in here. This talks about enabling the MFI automation in the settings manager under a new category. If you didn't know it was there, it's called automated data completion. It's really important to understand and go through. Okay, doing HELOCs, anyone? And so if you're doing HELOCs, this is important for you. Make sure you understand that there's a new read-only field, so definitely get this section to your team, leveraging Encompass for HELOCs. And then if you're doing business in Minnesota, make sure you pay attention to this. We're on page 6. And so hopefully that makes sense for you. Some other things that are just generic updates to forms, tools, and calculations. And so there's a new fee descriptions for 704. Again, if you go through the release notes, this will make more sense. But basically at the top of the itemization in the 700 section, if you don't use that, you're not really in bad company. But companies do document the real estate commissions up there, and they wanted some ability to self-define what those labels were. So that's what this new update allows for. There's also a new lock for URLA.x145. You've got some HOEPA stuff going on. This is a big deal if you're doing manufactured housing because now you have a new available dropdown. And this is going to help you line up with Freddie Mac's LPA properly. So that's important. You've got a new pre-approval checklist. So this is really good for if you're doing pre-approvals and you're using that credit for a pre-approval. This will help you with not only documenting your file, but also for reporting, which might be important to some people. New down payment percentage indicator. You've got new fields added to the state-specific form for New Mexico. And again, these are all just things that are drawn out, right? The release notes, if you add up all the release notes together, it's a few hundred pages to go through. That's why I do these breakdowns. If you want to go through those breakdown through the walkthrough recordings, get them over on the community or on YouTube and find out more. Just look through feature enhancements, fixes, and then also there's Encompass Web, a walkthrough for 24.2 if you want to check those out. There's a new loan archive feature for API. So if you're purchasing or building technology leveraging APIs, you now have the access to the loan archive feature. And there's a slew of other API v3 updates that are important. If you're in the API world, you already know about this. If you want to make sure that your department who's working with APIs knows about it, just ask them, and they should be all over that. If you're doing correspondent lending, you've got some new fields added to the correspondent loan status tool. So that's important to manage there. New ECS data viewer tool also for correspondent lending. That's important. Enhanced conditions, my fave here. So this talks about, again, the character limit increase. This is reminding you that if you intentionally cut short your condition names, you can now expand those from 128 to 255 characters if you want. There's more notes on that link. You've also got a read-only partner field in details, and this is, again, for the ability for Partner Connect to pass information through in that condition, which is pretty interesting to see how this is going to develop with enhanced conditions. And by the way, if you're not using enhanced conditions, again, you're not alone, but it needs to be part of your project. If there's ever anything we can do to help you with that, please reach out. We're extraordinarily experienced. I've been helping partner clients with enhanced conditions since 2023. So it wasn't something we just kind of picked up this year. We've actually deployed all of our new implementations with enhanced conditions, and those folks are far better off for it for many reasons. New internal description, there's some information updated on that. So now we're going down to page 15. And so now there's new web version persona updates, right? We're getting new enhancements to the web, which again are not part of desktop per se, but they do affect the persona in desktop. So you have to be aware of that. And the Encompass Scheduler tool is one of those updates that you need to know what's going on and what that means. Check out the release notes or check out the walkthrough video I did, and it'll explain it to you. And we'll get down to 16, some more Encompass settings. So allow product and pricer selection. That's, again, related to the ICE PPE. And it's reminding you, in case you didn't know this, even though it's been out there for a couple of years, that the external reporting database, ERDB, that is finally gone. Last but not least, this is for your IT team, especially if they're using images for new user provision on new machines, or they're reusing machines and they're putting new images on there. Again, if you're an IT person, you'll know what that means. But tell them they've got a new Encompass installer coming out that they need to use. It's very, very important, especially if they're using virtual machines, because again, those work off images and they just cycle up every time you log in. It basically spins up a new Windows environment for you, and you want to make sure that new installer for Encompass is being used on that. Get with your IT teams on that. Gang, that's the end. That's the end of the checklist. It's not that long, but there's a ton of information in there to make sure you use and make sure you know how to use. If there's anything ever we can do to help, please let us know. Thanks for listening. Catch you on the next video.